Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
It goes. Glad it's finally Friday and we get to have this again.
Yeah,
How are you doing?
not too bad. A little tired, but I've pumped myself full of caffeine, so we'll see how it goes.
Good to hear.
Hey, folks. Hello. My chat window is being weird.
What's it doing?
It like has this permanent invite mute all thing stuck up. Oh, there we go. Okay, that was why. 'Cause Will was waiting in the waiting room, and I couldn't get to
Oh,
it.
hello. Sorry I'm late.
I was having some technical difficulties. Apparently, you were in the waiting room for a while, and I couldn't get to it.
Nope.
I think Claire's also dealing with technical difficulties right now.
Yep.
Oh,
There we go. Okay, yes, now I can actually hear and talk. Oh my
Yay.
goodness, that was a lot of fun.
Thank you, everybody, for your flexibility. I appreciate it. Um, I think two things. We can go over what happened last time, and then also since we have this session and next session, if we maybe wanted to talk real quick about where we want to go to wrap things up, if there's a particular trajectory we want to head in. So, what do people remember from last time?
Let's see.
We took a bit of a beating, if I recall correctly, on the
The Fallout.
on the Fallout front.
Yeah. We had we had the rough obligation. I'm trying to actually remember how the obligations actually played out.
Let's see, from how I remember it, Sarah finally transcended into Polaris, had a bit of heart to heart with Regalia. It's like Frida was having their epic stand against two war dryads. It's like Violet was basically facing off with the Baroness, and Adele was basically dealing with Oda. Oda basically transcended to dark magical girl. Frida had their last stand and the transcendence right in front of Albrecht. Let's see. And then Albrecht, Regalia, and Oda basically disappeared. Into the abyss, essentially left the scene. Violet had the thing where they basically forgave the Baroness, and the Baroness turned over to our side. And then obligation phases. And then let's see, obligation phases, which included Sarah having to start taking lead of responsibilities now that Regalia is not quite here. Frida basically getting disowned by Albrecht, and basically just doing the middle finger back at the sky. Metaphorically. Violet basically having the shenanigans between rebel faction with the cyberpunk water balloon, and Gabriel catching fire from catching the torch, and Adele dealing with work stresses because no rest for the wicked for everyone, basically. And then downtime actions, as I remember, included Bellatrix working on the room. Adele coming to help finish that project. Violet investigating with the prism that she got, which is as we figured out, included the activation word of sushi. And Sarah, I believe, was and Sarah made a connection with Violet. Was how I remembered it.
That is an accurate summation. Thank you.
Nice.
All right. Does anybody have any, I don't know, things they hope we get to before the end, or where they would like for us to head in? It seems to me like we're kind of moving toward braving the abyss and a final confrontation. I'm not sure if that's where everybody else is at.
I suspected that the next mission would be the last and would be Brave the Abyss, but I also was off by one about the number of sessions we have. So
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't argue against having a season 3 in the future or something. I don't know. Admittedly, I'm pretty attached to the cast here and everything, and I'm not quite ready to close the book on them.
This has been a blast.
Honestly,
For sure.
just like how it all started and everything, especially after getting done session, setting up the characters and all that stuff, it was like, oh gosh, where's the time going to be? And here we are. It's getting, where's the time?
Excellent. Okay. So let me see here. So it says for Brave the Abyss, it says, and we can talk more about this too when we finish up downtime phase, but it says face the abyss where it is strongest in the hopes of disrupting its plans and give it pause. After this mission, the current season ends. So it definitely leaves open the possibility of a future season. And we just make sure to narratively construct it so that there is a disruption rather than vanquishing the final foe, as it were. Okay, we'll keep that in mind. All right, so if I remember correctly, from the sounds of it, we've just done one cycle through downtime, so everybody's had one so far.
Yep.
Okay. So does anybody want to kick us off back into the downtime phase?
If we were to pick up another, we made some partial progress towards the even next skybox room, but we didn't indicate what that would be. Would I assume that would be power source for Mark 1 series transcendent ability? Given that we are likely not going to have another obligation phase, garden doesn't make sense.
It'd be kind of hilarious to finish the garden but not use it.
just some window dressing, as it were.
Like those flowers from the Baroness's court. You're like, oh, this'll do.
So long as we don't take Regalia's perfume in there.
Yeah, there's that. But yeah, so that you're right. We have one marked on that 4 o'clock for the next hideout area.
And we're already pretty much maxed out on the investigation track.
We are.
I think I was going to use my next 2 downtime actions for make a connection, but I think that was, it's like, I also wanted to see what like everybody else was going to do first.
Let me pull up the book and see what the options are.
We've got 3 links on the table so far. Luckily, they're with Sarah, so 3 links to anybody. We have make a connection, work on a long-term project, help a friend recover, and investigation.
And there's only one person who has harm, and they've had that for
Don't worry
forever.
about it. No, I think it's very appropriate that it's like they've had that harm all the way up to this point.
I do, yeah, I think it's kind of poetic that it's lingering sense of loss and it just continues to linger.
I think Frida is going to bring Ian to the skybox, which probably involves a bit of mentoring in trying to demonstrate to him how to actually get into this state of mind to slip the boundaries. And encourages him to scribble all over a portion of the space and draw and make art in the space. So there is a portion of the skybox that she basically turns over to Ian to decorate as he sees fit. And is willing to, she's willing to sort of help out and be sort of his extra pair of hands and or get him things that he needs, and tries to find some bonding time in this space with him. And I'm going to roll to continue and or complete power source.
Yeah, that's really good.
Oh, I love it. I hope it finishes that too. I wanted to finish with Ian's drawing.
So I think this is, awkwardly, I think this is a zero die empathize. I could also,
I can kind of see it with flow too.
Yeah, flow might be functional as well. So I'll roll a 1 die.
Actually, I can also see it with express, because it's like you are letting Ian express and everything, and in a way that's also expressing like your love for him and everything by giving him the space too. It's like
okay, yeah, because I guess there's probably in the process of getting him to the skybox and sort of describing what the space is and giving him the framework that he needs to sort of interface with the space. That could be an express. So That is a 5.
Hey, there's their 3 segments. Excellent.
Sweet.
Love it. I love it so much.
And so he builds this sort of, I don't know what it looks like, but it's, shapes and creatures and swirls of power, and something that something that pays homage to the light of the stars that's shining down on the space, and the starlight just fills the imagery, and it all seems to glow with a sort of bioluminescence.
I think also that usually this only happens after the abyss is forced back, but I think in this particular case, like another star appears in the sky above, like reawakened by this.
Very cool. And that gets us a series transcendent ability.
Mm-hmm. So we have hope is strength or tireless, it looks like.
I do like hope as strength. I think it's like simply because it's like I like I don't know, I guess because we haven't gotten to the point of having transcendent dots and just having 3 of them, that and hope as strength seems pretty apt for at this point in the campaign too.
I think Hope of Strength sounds kind of on the nose with kind of how our party is at this point, having that hope and wanting to like bring it forth, especially to like Oda, Regalia, like, and all the other people that we've kind of experienced with like Albrecht, and bringing also hope also for Sarah and all.
Now I know if anyone has any other preference.
No, that works for me.
I feel like hope is strength is a sort of a middle finger bounce back to our social losses of the last session.
Yeah. All right, so everybody gets to pick forgive, empathize, or flow, right? Mark's A transcendent.
Well, it's and flow.
Oh, and you're right. Yes, it's all 3 of them. And it's in your transcendence boxes, which are a little colored a little different than the others. So if it's not clear, the mechanic for that is you get those extra dots on your action rolls when you are transcendent. Excellent. Way to start us off. That was really good. Does anybody have anything else in mind ready to go?
I guess I can go next. Because I was thinking of doing like make a connection with Frida.
All right.
Kind of, let's see here. And so I guess the first thing, after having that little like very heartfelt moment with Ian and everything, I guess what would Frida be kind of up to today in their day to day at this point?
Probably throwing herself into keeping the dancers in the portion of the pageant that she's responsible for choreographing, keeping their spirits up. I think she is being a bit rebellious in that she's not like pushing everybody to be their best. She's pushing everybody to keep. She's encouraging everyone to keep their energy up for the long run. So she's doing a lot of making sure that people are hydrated, making sure that people have what they need, letting people take breaks, just trying to sort of be a den mother for the group. protect people rather than the pageant.
I love that. That kind of harking back to the first little connection we actually had, where we were with our characters of like helping others and just going out and just doing it. I love that actually right now. And I would say Sarah kind of just kind of happens upon seeing Frida kind of doing this like support work and everything, and kind of just really kind of doing rather than saying, and it something kind of just that it's just that thing of hitting like right at home for Sarah, of like just taking that action. And so she kind of just walks like kind of on up to Frida, and just kind of casually just kind of with like a very playful kind of like fist bump to Frida's back, and it's like, so how can I help and all?
Oh, Sarah. And I think Frida has sort of volunteered to get something, like to like maybe there's either more costumes that need to be picked up, or there's some kind of catering that needs to be brought in. And Frida suggests that the two of us basically go grab it, because more hands will make for less work.
Less trips and everything, right? and at that, like, Sarah's like, oh, absolutely, I'd love to actually help out. And it's kind of just nice to kind of get away from everything else that's been happening and actually help out in something meaningful around the people involved in this pageant and all, or parade, whatever you call this. I'm so bad with words.
And Frida sort of nods and says, we've had a lot happen recently in other spaces, and it's good to remember that we still live out here, and there's still people who are, there's still lots of things happening out here that need our attention and our support.
I agree. And the thing is, like those that we have helped out of the abyss and everything, sure, we saw them happy and good, being freed from that terrible situation. But I mean, then they go back to having to deal with their daily lives, and we never really. It doesn't feel like we ever get the time to just check up on everybody, make sure that they're all happy and good afterwards too. It's one thing to help them out in that, and obviously this terrible area that really only we can seem to venture to, but I mean, it's still a scary world out here that we got to help out too.
The pageant keeps moving. I almost wonder if the exhaustion that sets in is almost by design. All these people are exerting themselves to the fullest for all of this time, and that means they don't have enough space. They don't have the space to do anything else but recover.
No, I agree with you there. Like, I mean, it always just feels like every day today, even without just this event, it's like everything's by design to just kind of push ourselves, honestly, to the brink of our emotions and our energy and everything. And it does feel like like by design, like we're kind of being prevented from actually just looking towards ourselves and like actually trying to help ourselves and our friends and family. I mean, even with all that we've been doing, I feel like I really haven't been there enough for my friends and such, outside of like, well, helping out you and Violet and Adele in like are in the abyss and everything. I mean, it's great, but now that I think about it, I haven't even had really much time for Marie, for instance. I really need to make that kind of time.
Frida looks a little bit concerned and sort of nods and says, have you seen her recently, Marie?
No, I haven't, and still actually trying to find her. Actually, that's kind of one reason I was kind of walking all about when I saw you and everything. Haven't seen her for, I want to say almost 2 days. It feels like, and I think the last time I saw her was like during part of the like we were parading through like the last location maybe. It's been so long, and I'm worried about her because it's the longest I've actually been away from her. Still don't know what she's been up to even.
I think given your position in the flow of events, and she smiles a bit. She smiles a bit in memory of Polaris's ascension. I would trust that. I would trust that gut instinct. We're I would hope that you could. I'll keep an eye out for Marie where I can, but I don't trust the situation to just assume that people are safe.
No, and that's what's. I wish I could, like I didn't share that same feeling, but that's one reason I'm even more concerned that I haven't seen Marie. But I'm also kind of concerned, like, I mean, for instance, uh, with like what happened with for you and Adele, with like you're just like Oda Albrecht and everything, like just everything that happened in the last one. I'm still kind of concerned of, like, I don't know. Have you talked with Adele at all about things? I haven't talked to her about it. She seemed rather devastated after what happened to Oda, and I don't know if any of us have actually had time to just check up on her.
She's processing her feelings in a very Adele-shaped manner, I think.
So that would you? I don't like how very apt to say. If anything, that just gives me more cause for concern a little bit. But as you said, she needed to come out of her shell. I don't think this is what you and me had originally in mind when we talked about it, though.
Oh, it's been sort of forced on us, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I think she needs her space, but I think at some point we may need to draw the line between giving people the space they need to process and letting them spiral somewhere dark.
Yeah, and the hard thing is with people, you don't really know where that line comes sometimes.
True, but I trust your judgment. You have remarkable eyes for these things.
Well, and so do you. I mean, just look at what you're doing right now, just helping out everybody here. And I mean, with our combined efforts, and maybe getting Violet to give Adela an additional nudge as well, maybe we can at least ensure that none of us go crossing the path of something we all regret, and especially emotionally.
She nods. And then she looks at you and she says, "Your new look suits you, by the way," and winks. I'm glad to see I'm glad to see that you found another dimension to your ability to help others.
Oh, actually, you know what? I love that being kind of like the cut of the seam there. Actually, I think that's a pretty good like line to end it on.
What action is this, Sarah?
Um, I would say in a way, this is her way of kind of confessing her feelings and thoughts on a lot of things. Especially, she's actually admitting the smallest bit of that concern that she's having right now of like with Marie and not having not seen it. We'll see her and all, and then also confessing about her feelings on how Adele's doing and all that stuff as well.
Did Frida enjoy this?
I think yes. I think this was a good way for both of the characters to decompress, and Frida appreciated that.
Excellent. Sounds like 2 dice.
I still miss my other extra dice. Where did it go?
Turn
It
into a
went
breathing
into a
coffin.
magical transformation. Just watch the die go up and go up in sparkly smoke.
I love that. 4.
It's excellent. So Frida, mark 3 links with Sarah.
All right.
All right, so David or Fumi?
David, do you already have something in mind? Because I think Adele's next action is going to be, it's like otherwise make a connection with Violet.
Feel free to go ahead on that.
Okay. I guess it's like where might Violet be? It's like at this time, or it's like presuming that Adele is like doesn't want to like barge in on it's like her bedroom so rudely in the middle of her ranting to the Baroness about sushi.
Right. I could be, um, I could be training. Maybe I'm like doing some kind of spear form, in the sort of training ground that we have in our hideout.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Actually, that's like I think that suits it perfectly. It's like Adele basically kind of like finds her way. It's like into the training room and everything. It's like and it's like sort of just it's like spotting Violet just like, oh, it's like perfect. Violet, it's like, do you mind it's like if I can impose, do you mind helping me it's like take out some it's like frustration with some sparring? It has been a long time since we've done that sort of thing.
Be my guest. And I'll do kind of a dramatic twirl and then stomp the haft of the spear into the yeah, I imagine the floor is wood. So this kind of thud into the ground.
And I imagine basically like the scene that follows is for the most part pretty wordless and is more so basically like Adele kind of expressing themselves with it's I imagine like back in season 1, especially before Frida and Sarah joined and everything, they both probably like it's like trained not it's like too infrequently and everything. And it was one of probably like the it's like few ways that they sort of like get along without house business getting in the way or without like it's like or without having a conversation that's probably like uh tainted with like noble talk and everything. But it's like but given like recent events that happened, it's one of those unusual times where like Adele is it's like normally when it comes to like sparring etiquette, it's like, oh, you pretty much move. It's like more so knowing this is training and everything. But it's like when it's like Adele meant basically, if I may impose upon you, they are sparring with it's like with difficulty basically sort of it's like holding back in a way that basically it's very evident that a lot of their it's like blows and movement come from basically trying to like sort of it's like hack away at like the frustration and fear that they're feeling inside. And it's like after a couple minutes of basically just sort of it's like until they it's like exhaust themselves enough and everything. it's like sort of like they finally stop. It's like just sort of it's like a moment of catching their breath and everything. And sort of remembering the promise that it's like Adele had it's like to Vega basically about how they can prove that they don't need to it's like put one before the other. It's like between what they care about and protecting the greater good. It's like they kind of find themselves confessing. Do you think there may come a time where I might have to strike her down?
That's completely possible. I mean, these kinds of things are always possible in war. That is what this is, right? This is a war.
Unfortunately. I guess it's like, if you don't mind me asking something so personal, what would you find yourself doing in this sort of situation if it were you and Rose? You don't have to humor me on that hypothetical.
Um, well, frankly, I'd probably let her kill me.
Well, it's like, I guess I'm glad to know that it's like probably relate on that much. Although I suppose in my sort of situation, it's a little bit more bureaucratic. It's like seems to sort of it's like stew in silence for a bit. It's like as they're it's like trying to collect their it's like thoughts. It's like somewhere before they continue. We have to. It's like, but it's like I imagine knowing you, you'd probably it's like do everything you can to try to it's like save her first, wouldn't you?
Of course I would. But if it really came down to it, I don't think I could actually strike her down.
Hmm. I know what you mean. Yeah, it's been a while since we've it's like last talked like this. It's like, hasn't it? It's like I do remember it's like before it's like the other two joined us. So it's like you mostly it's like I think we kind of mostly just bickered more than anything. But, you know, it's like if there's anybody who can at least relate to me on it's like the complications of it's like family. It's like tied in it's like to the business noble it's like of nobility. It's like I'm always glad you always it's like provide a second voice for me. Hmm. It's like sort of it's like seems to it's like limber back up and everything. And it's like, do you mind if I impose on you a little further? I think I still need to work out some it's like more stress.
Um, I kind of wipe the sweat off my brow with the back of my arm and assume another battle ready stance.
And I think that's probably good there.
What action is this, Adele?
I think probably confess, given yeah.
And Violet, did you enjoy this?
Yeah.
All right. That's 2 dice.
Let's see. That's a 3.
Okay. So 2 segments. So Violet, mark 2 segments or 2 links, sorry, with Adele.
Two segments?
2 links, yeah.
Links, okay.
Um, awesome. Uh, David, do you have an idea for the next downtime action?
Does anybody need links? Like, does anybody want a scene with me so that we can get links with each other?
I mean, if it's not too much of a thing, I would love to see Violet and Frida actually interact. I don't think we've seen enough of that in all.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of a frame for it.
So you and I were sort of paired up on the previous mission.
Yeah, dryads and the Baroness and so forth.
And Violet pretending to be Rose.
Yeah. Hmm. Did you have something like, were you going somewhere with that?
Well, just thinking, that if there are any elements of that mission with us attending the tents and going in as a team like that Violet wanted to process, or if there are any sort of cleanup actions that we might be taking in those spaces that would put the two of us together.
Um, Danny, what did Rose end up doing after we met with her during that mission? We kind of had the awkward interaction where we sort of shuffled past her into the tent, and then we never heard from her again. Did anything come of that?
So we kind of left it hanging there. Um, we can do a quick flashback to the next time Violet sees Rose and see what that's about. And then we can maybe that might provide something additional to
Well, I that'd be good if Frida's there because I want to make sure that we're getting a scene together.
yeah, yeah. Would you like it to be all three of them together or one thing happen and then lead into Frida? However you are interested in it.
Oh,
How did we
yeah, go ahead.
how did we leave that space? Did all four of us come tumbling out of Rose's tent at the end? Because two of the magical girls came into the Baroness's space via a very different method.
You know, you have a very valid point, actually, considering one, the way we entered in also got like kind of, well, spedrooned and everything to open up and all. Actually, how did we leave that?
So I like the idea, like the camera cuts back, right? And we see the four magical girls step out of the mirror into Rose's tent and then the mirror like and Vanity collapse back into their normal form. And as they leave the tent, we just see from the shadows Rose watching.
Uh, were you still transformed as Vega when you left Rose's tent?
Oh, when I left?
Yeah.
I can't imagine why I would have been, unless it would be dramatically interesting for me to remain that way.
Well, either Violet went into the tent and then Vega came out, or Violet and Frida came out of the tent in the company of strange magical girls.
Yeah, and then there's also the other thing of like, um, Rose did say that they would love to meet the get in contact with said other half of you.
Hmm.
So you and I could have a scene like basically right after people are splitting up off after the tent to sort of process Rose's position in this.
Yeah, that's fine. We can do that. So this is a flashback scene to kind of immediately following the mission.
Yeah, like what so maybe the two of us go I mean, we're probably exerted out at this point. We probably don't need to go sparring or doing sports or anything along those lines.
Right.
But maybe we go for like a jog to cool down, or we go get some food, or we just sort of find a quiet space and stare at a pond or something. What's Violet's speed for coming down from the highs of a mission?
I like this is just a style over substance choice. I like the idea of us just talking, staring into a pond, because that way you could have either a scene in the manga or in the anime where it is just the camera pointed at the water and you just see the reflections interacting.
Hmm.
That sounds artsy and fun.
Yeah, I could see that.
And then occasionally, you'll see the reflections disturbed out of nowhere by someone tossing a rock in from off screen or a fish swimming by underneath, and the viewer is reminded occasionally that, oh no, this is a water shot that they're viewing.
There's a shot with a duck on the periphery.
Right. Um, no, that sounds good. That sounds good. So let's do that. And the subject is basically figuring out what we're doing with Rose.
Yeah, I mean, that's a decent place to start. Rose Rose seems to be taken with Rose seems to be taken with that strange, powerful figure that saved her before. Maybe looks up to her. I imagine you might have an interesting conversation with her in the future on that.
Do you think I should tell her?
Do you trust her?
Not really, but she needs to know that I'm here to look after her. She needs to be willing to come to me. At least I want her to. And, well, she can't do that if she doesn't know who I really am, right?
Oh, that's interesting. Um, I wonder, Frida says, she'd be seeing a side of her sister that do you think she's do you think she'll recognize Vega in you when she sees her? When she knows that the two of you are together, do you think that that will surprise her? Do you think that it will fit puzzle pieces together for her, or will it shock her?
I would like to think that once she knows that, then it'll be an obvious appearance. Like it'll be really clear, like, oh, how could I have never seen it before?
That might be better than the alternative. People can people can react very irrationally when they get thrown for a loop. So if it makes things make sense for her, I think Violet, your sister, if you've applied yourself to helping others, she's a different person, but she's also your sister. And if there exists in her some kernel of support that would help drive the abyss back, then seeing Vega in you might be her first step to expressing it. But it also might drive her in a direction we can't predict. Ultimately, that's up to her. You're not going to be able to manage her reaction.
Right.
But the best you can do is to be open to support her and to explain things as best you can.
I'm not doing her any favors by hiding this from her.
No. And I think the longer you lie about it, I'm not one to accuse you of lying. I know you're very firm about such things, but the more she stays in the dark suspecting, the harder the conversation is going to be.
Right. All right.
I know that doesn't make it any easier for you.
No, but I at least know what I need to do now. So, thank you for that, even if I'm not happy about it.
I'd ask when we're going to get a break, but this is, I imagine there are a lot of people out there who need a break, and the world doesn't seem to be giving us a chance to find one. Whatever happens though, I've got your back.
And I've got yours.
That's a really good ending, I think. What this was Violet's action, right?
Yeah.
All right, so
Express probably.
sure. Frida, did you enjoy this?
I think to the degree that this conversation can be enjoyed, yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
2 dice.
Okay. 6.
Nice. 4 segments. Or sorry, links.
So I have 4 links with Violet.
Yep.
I love how we have our little middle playbooks here with like all these links here compared to the outside playbooks. I'm just noticing.
Those
Yeah, those links go to Frida, right?
yeah.
Rather than Violet.
Yeah. It's who you make a connection with.
Oh, did I do something wrong on my end?
Yeah. The links go to the person that you're making a connection with. That's all.
So I have 4 links on Violet. Violet does not have 4 links on Frida.
Right.
Oh, my mistake. Okay.
That's all right. It's kind of confusing.
I always get it mixed up who marks them and who doesn't. Okay.
Well, yeah. Well, and it's the thing of like I'm taking the action, so don't I?
You would think I would, but no,
yeah.
I'm
so
yeah,
it's
that's
confusing.
where I get it mixed. That's where I get it mixed up. I think I'm taking the action, so I should be. But no, that makes sense. Okay.
So yeah, one of these days somebody's gonna roll a critical success on one of those rolls. It's gonna be great.
All right, so I think we have 2 outstanding downtime activities still for Adele and Sarah, right? Maybe it's a little early, but maybe now's a good point to take our first break. Then when we come back, we'll finish up downtime.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay, I'll see you all in 10. Okay, looks like we're all back. Um, Clarice or Fumi? Who would like to go first?
Clarice, do you have in mind what you want to do?
Still thinking. I think I'm almost to a thought though. Maybe. Do you have any particular thoughts?
I think I'd probably just make a connection with somebody which leaves either you or Frida basically.
Oh, how about you go do that, and I should hopefully have figured things out in my head at that point.
See, that's a part where I'm conflicted on because I'm like, darn it, I don't have an extra downtime action for both.
Yeah, well, I mean, from a mechanical perspective, if Sarah has a downtime action with if Sarah makes a connection with Adele, Adele can make a connection with Frida.
Yeah, pretty much. Although it's like I'm not sure what options Sarah's between.
No, I could go with that, honestly. Have some more little like fun little character things go on here. So how about you start off with your connection with Frida?
Sure, I can do that. I guess where might Frida be at this time?
She's been spending a lot of time in the skybox. I think if this is prior to her, I mean, if this is prior to her conversation with Marie, then she's spending a lot of time in the skybox. Like all of her downtime actions were basically spent, you know, providing an order to a space that she had a better chance of controlling. So you might be able to encounter her there, or you might be able to encounter her when in like evening hours when she's not in the process of running people through choreography.
Yeah, I could see that. I think I'm between that or basically following up after the room interaction they have. Actually, no, I think the choreography might be funnier. Let's see. I think it'd be funnier if it actually probably because basically Sarah and Frida had their interaction while Frida was finish up choreography, it sounded like.
Yeah, we sort of went out to like grab some catering or schlep some costumes or something like that.
Then I can kind of imagine probably it's like at some point essentially like Adele unfortunately still had to go back and still had to deal with the mess that they kind of left behind momentarily after hearing all those reports of somebody getting hit with a cyberpunk water balloon and another person catching on fire and then one of their floats probably getting torn out. So I can imagine after having to go back and address that, unfortunately, sort of like shows up towards it's like sometime after it's like Sarah's conversation with Frida. Probably found themselves probably like hard cuts to like before they arrive. Just it's like as they're talking about Adele for apropos to nothing, and then it just cuts to Adele just suddenly sneezing as they're walking, just like oh goodness, I shouldn't. It's like this is not a good time to be catching cold. It's like and then just it's like sometime afterwards, like probably after it's like maybe Sarah's left or like they've just probably finished up helping with their catering and everything, and it's like Adele basically and Adele finally shows up and just it's like probably probably finds it too. It's like and just it's like sort of oh I'm sorry. It's like did I catch you at a bad time? Am I interrupting something?
I think Frida shrugs and gestures at a room that is rapidly emptying, and says, "Well, you've caught me at liberty. Don't feel any reason to stay here, though."
It's like I think I can. It's like I think I can share in that. It's like feeling after how much has happened today. Well, it's like I think I still. It's like in that case, I think I can. It's like stand to have. It's like a moment of. It's like peace and quiet. Well, more. It's like moments of peace and quiet. I don't think we get as many as we'd like. It's like would I be? It's like intruding upon. It's like you if I. It's like perhaps asked for a walk together. I think it's like I need a soundboard so to it's like speak as I it's like sort of think out loud to myself.
A walk sounds like a fine idea. And Frida sort of gestures for Adele to pick a direction.
And it's like despite everything, Adele still finds this opportunity to be like, it's like, oh, I thought you were usually the one who was it's like who wanted to push to lead.
Uh um there's no need for you to get envious about it. I It's been a long day, and it's been a long day, and I'm tired, and I'm not going to push you on general principles.
Oh, well, it's like if you're exhausted, it's like don't feel compelled to oblige me on this. It's like my it's like favor.
Now wait a
I
minute. If you want to walk, you are getting a walk. Don't let me slow you down, Your Majesty.
It's like Adele just sort of it's like proceeds and it's like just sort of it's like picks a direction aimlessly and already it's like just sort of it's like starts it's like walking and just it's like probably just a bit of it's like relief at probably like seizing some semblance of it's like a familiar atmosphere so to speak after everything. It's like before it's like they it's like and it's like probably it's like they it's like sort of walk for it's like a solid minute or two. It's like without really it's like probably without really saying anything in particular. It's like Adele seems to sort of stare off into it's like space. It's like trying to it's like collect themselves mentally. It's like before it's like they it's like until they finally sort of it's like blurt out. I fucked up really badly on that last mission, didn't I?
Oh, interesting.
Sorry, that was a little bit out of nowhere, but and then it's like sort of just it's like despite the slight, it's like it probably came off as like somewhat jokingly as they were it's like trying to figure out how to word it before they go. It's like I can't help but think I it's like went and sort of endangered. It's like, well, it's like basically jeopardized everything that it's like the way it happened.
If I remember correctly, your strike on the mirror threw the Baroness into disarray. They were I don't know what they were planning to do to Oda, but I can't imagine it was going to be good. And suddenly we were fighting on our footing, not theirs. I can't say that was a I can't say that was a mistake.
For all the good that it's like did considering the losses we incurred anyway.
You don't play You don't play not chess against a we need a name for that, but you don't play not chess against an empty board. You did what you felt was necessary. They responded. You can't control how other people are going to react when things get volatile.
Is that it's like you're saying I shouldn't be so hard on myself, essentially?
I think you have to accept that some things are not in your control and act accordingly. Work with what comes. I don't know what's going to happen to Oda. I don't know what's going to happen to Regala. I don't know what's left of my father to recover. But this is where we are, and this is what we have to deal with. And I imagine that whatever you and we choose to do next, the best we can do is meet it firmly with no regrets.
Certainly easier said than done. And then just it's like probably another it's like moment of silence. It's like before it's like they kind of just suddenly it's like admit I'm not looking forward to it's like it's like I'm not really looking forward to what comes next. I don't think it comes as a surprise, but I'm not used to it's like things not being under my control. It's like unfortunate side effect of it's like being raised with it's like the family I have, I guess. And I guess my anxious like my anxiety is like throughout that it's like entire everything last night was it's like probably it's like a lot more it's like palpable than I'd like to it's like admit if Oda it's like can't it's like well if Oda weren't it's like waiting for me at the abyss it's like they it's like probably would have scolded me at the very least for how I conducted myself.
I wonder if Oda felt that she was in control. I wonder how used to not being in control. I wonder if Oda had been willing to trust you, to trust your presence there, to trust your ability to prevail, if she would have made different choices.
It's funny
Frankly,
you say that.
I think that's on her. That mistake's on her.
Well, I suppose it's funny you say that. I did find myself wondering. It's like when I learned to, it's like when I learned to, it's like stop trusting her in turn, and vice versa. I think at some point we kind of, it's like despite, it's like her having been the only, it's like family I'd known, at some point we stopped knowing how to talk to each other. I think if given another chance, if she can be saved, I think I'd like to fix that. Now that I think about it.
Frida nods. I think she's processing. She's processing internally some thoughts on that she doesn't feel the need to express. I think she turns to you and she says, "Life's messy down here."
Oh, I know. It's like, but I am just another, it's like spelled noble child after all. It's like, understandably, this is all a new experience for me to contend with. It's like, forgive me if it takes me a bit to really learn. And I think that's probably it's like a good spot to end the scene.
All right. What action is that?
Oh, Fumi, you're muted?
Oh, yeah, it's like I feel like that's probably it's like confessing. It's like I guess it's a very confessive episode for adults.
Did Frida enjoy Adele being vulnerable?
I think Frida is relieved that Adele is vulnerable. And I feel like Frida got some "I told you so"s in there, which she always appreciates.
2 dice.
So that is a 5.
All
Excellent.
right.
3 links for Frida
Okay.
to Adele. All right.
So I guess get used to me saying that I'm spending links with people because I seem to have a few of them.
You.
Yeah, you have a healthy amount of links, just a bit.
It's better than an unhealthy amount of stress.
Very true. This is actually probably the least amount of stress our entire group has had after obligations, which is saying something considering how our obligations hit us too.
I don't know. This is the most stress Adele's dealt with, considering they actually got stressed this obligation.
Sarah.
All right. Well, following that same kind of discussion earlier, I'll do the make a connection, and what will be the case here is I'd say Sarah kind of sends a little text message in a sense to Adele, just being like the thing of like, hey, I found this really nifty little park and everything, and just thought, hey, you want to come want to hang out and unwind, and kind of sends like a little like almost like Google Maps thing of like, here's where it's at.
It's like it's like probably just text like a very, it's like I imagine basically like completely proper, it's like capital S period, just sure. And then it's like probably like cuts over to like, it's like Adele is like it's like catching up and it's like meet up with Sarah at the park.
Oh yeah, and I had to say, the text has a lot of emojis on Sarah's one, and it's like all sorts of like things like little stars and sparkle emotes and everything like that. It's very different in contrast to the shirt. And I would say, considering Sarah kind of sent this basically as they had found the park and was just like, not like, so she's already been there kind of thing, just kind of waiting for Adele to kind of just come and hang out and everything, and she's just at the swings, kind of just very passively swinging, not going too high, not too go, just like kind of letting the flow of the swing kind of just take her as she's kind of looking up at the sky, kind of waiting for Adele to kind of show up.
I can kind of imagine from like, it's like probably comes in from like towards, it's like the side and everything, making sure not to stand in the way of the swing to avoid getting hit before they kind of like sort of just, it's like sort of, they have contemplate like grabbing the swing, but then that might end up throwing Sarah off, and just it's like before they kind of just like think better of it, it's like sort of sit down on the, it's like swing, it's like next to her, it's like, and just it's like it's like I kind of thought, it's like I somewhat thought you wanted to take a walk, but it's like I suppose this suits you more, admittedly.
Well, of course, this is more my thing, I guess you could say, but also it's more of the fact that here you can kind of just sit and just enjoy as the kind of the dawn kind of hits, like whenever not the dawn, the evening hits, kind of like as you're seeing like the sun kind of go down for this day and everything, there's just something magical of watching the sky kind of turn from that nice little blue to that kind of more reddish hue, and the clouds today are actually kind of just making it prettier.
Do you do you spend a lot of your evenings like this?
Tell you the truth, I used to do this a whole lot before meeting you, Frida, and Adele. Ever since though, and with everything that's been happening, I can't really remember when the last I actually did it.
It's like, why did you stop?
Not really sure, honestly. I just got kind of lost in trying to help out where in protecting others and making sure things kind of worked out. And with everything else that happened, such as the event that we got thrown into with our families and everything, I guess I just kind of lost track of time.
It's like seems to sort of like let the conversation sort of dwindle for a bit as they think. It's like before, it's like suddenly just sort of, it's like saying, well, it's like, I do need to apologize, it's like to you for putting you in danger like that. It's like, last night, when you were humoring my paranoia, it's like about Oda and everything.
And Sarah's swing kind of just halts it kind of a bit as she kind of puts her feet kind of like on the ground, and kind of the momentum kind of causing her head to shift forward and momentarily kind of just hang it quietly in kind of a contemplation while looking down at the ground before being like, just after what seems for a bit of a long pause, just kind of pulls her head up and looking at you, and it's like, there's nothing you need to apologize for. After all, I would have done it. I would have done the same thing if I had a chance to go back and redo anything. I would never have let you go alone, and much less what I did. Everything that needed to be done. I mean, was it the right thing to do? I don't know. I don't know what would have changed anything, if anything would have been changeable, but I would have still done it. I wouldn't, being there and helping you, being there just to help out with everybody. That's just what I do. I don't know what I would have done differently, because at the end of the day, if you weren't the one in danger, if Violet, Frida was had anything that was worrying them, such as like how we split up and Violet went to go check up on Rose, Rose's mirror and such, and conversely Rose, I would have followed them and it wouldn't have changed too much. I mean, we'd all end up in that mirror. The only difference is, who knows if we would have known what happened on the side that you and me came from.
So you say, but it's like at the same time, I still feel it's like rather responsible. It's like tugging you along with, it's like such a selfish request anyway. Well, I suppose well, maybe give me a month or two, and it's like I'll get over it eventually, as most nobles tend to, but
I mean, getting over it is one thing, but I think that to me is the thing of what you think was maybe a misstep or kind of tugging me around. I mean, at the end of the day, I still chose to be there and to support you in kind of your worries and concerns. I mean, I could have backed out at any time. I mean, it's not like you control how I think or how I feel. What I want to do is be there for and all, and if for those that I care about. And well, I care about you, and I wouldn't want you just going into something completely alone and without support. And yeah, I may have angered Regalia. I'm not certain how she took everything that happened that day. I mean, I tripped her, which is, I'll say that's going to be its own. I'm still kind of worried about what repercussions come from that still today. But in the end, the consequences of all my actions, including what I did to Regalia, that's on me. And I mean, I made my own choices. Like I still haven't been I haven't been nearly as good of a friend as I should since. I mean, this entire time I haven't really told any of you how I've been feeling. I mean, I'd rather care more about how you all are doing and helping you guys out. I kind of keep whatever's bugging me kind of to myself, so I understand.
I do know that it's like I am aware of that. I keep trying to, it's like I do find myself constantly trying to prod you for how you're feeling. So, in reminding me of that, it's like, let me ask, how are you feeling?
Conflicted, I guess. Worried. I mean, well, for one, in the last mission, by some crazy happenstance, I don't know what, I became a magical girl, and she kind of holds up what looks to be kind of this like kind of rectangular kind of rock, and kind of two others that are kind of, for all intents and purposes, kind of clear and everything, and their baton, and in their and like looking at their baton that they have in their lap. And no matter what I do, I can't seem to become a magical girl again. I'm starting to wonder if it was all a fluke. And I'm also worried that after having all that, I thought maybe I could actually help and protect people like Marie, who I have no idea what's going on with her. And now I thought, oh, at least I have the power to help, and I haven't been able to do any of what I did last time. I don't know what allowed me to have the powers that you guys do. I don't even know how you guys just call it up whenever you want. I feel kind of broken on that.
It's like kind of takes a moment to sort of, it's like process all that. It's like processing, and then just sort of suddenly, it's like sort of reaches out and grabs a swing after all. It's like, probably just, it's like, I don't know how, it's like Hard Zero is probably, it's like swinging everything if like, it's like they end up, it's like falling off the seat and just, wait a second. Did I hear that right? You became a magical girl? And it just like, it's like flashbacks to like basically how Adele was distracted and also was at the other side of the mirror when all that happened. And it's just like, did I actually, it's like, no, confirm for me. Did I hear that right?
It just hurts like, oh, and then like kind of like ends up falling forward off of the swing and like is on just her left foot, kind of just balancing herself and everything, and then kind of rights herself enough, and it's like, Yeah, I mean, I helped to protect Violet and everything, and I stood up against Regalia in my magical girl form. What do you mean? You didn't see that?
No, I think I was a little bit. It's like, no, wait, no, what do you mean I didn't? It's like, no, it's like, no, it's like I was a little bit preoccupied with some immediately pressing matters at the time. So it's like, no, unfortunately, I didn't quite get to witness that monumental sounding event. And it's sort of like that. And it's like, and you can tell it's sort of like that sort of, it's like troubled, it's like thing of like, basically, what do you mean you got married? Like, it's like last week and I didn't, it's like, and I'm only hearing of this now. It's like sort of thing. Or it's just, it's like before, it's like, it's kind of like, it's like before they kind of just collect themselves and just, okay. Okay. Um, Focusing back on as you were saying. Well, I don't think it's, I mean, and like trying to collect the words of how to respond to this in the midst of basically just barely finding out that it's like one of their friends just became a magical girl and just trying to think back to it's like my experiences. It's like of it's like of basically becoming as we are now. I don't think it's that strange that it's like you are, how should I put it, adjusting and becoming acquainted with that sort of power. I mean, you say that you've been trying and haven't been able to, it's like tap into that. It's like ever since it's like last night. But I think knowing you, when the time comes and it's like your emotions are at their strongest, I feel like the opportunity will present itself again. As unhelpful as it may sound.
No, I understand where it's coming from. It just, you guys make it look so easy. And here I am. I take up my baton like it just came into my hand the first time. I'm going at, I'm trying to do the same thing where I just smack it against what used to be a card, now it's just a rock. I swear I'm not crazy. And it just doesn't do anything. And it's just,
You don't think we go around transforming willy-nilly in the it's like in our mundane lives, do you?
I mean, I don't know, but Frida, I swear it might. I don't know. Now that I think about it, I've only seen Violet kind of do so when it's like protecting, but and like in like dire once the like everything kind of escalates in battle. I don't know. I just thought you guys just, I don't, you just thought it and boom, there we go. I'm magical girl now. I just, here we are. I'm ready to go.
Sort of reaches out and puts their hand on it's like Sarah's head, sort of like in a gentle, almost sort of it's like petting motion and just there. I mean, I suppose I should give you the very boring, very practical advice that our responsibilities as they are don't exactly afford us the enjoyment of transforming as we'd like, if that makes sense. Don't I suppose it's like, well, it's a little bit, it's like ironic of me to say don't get in over your head after everything I've done last night, but be patient with yourself, I suppose, is what I want to say.
I'll try, though. I don't know if our enemies are going to give me the time to be patient. I feel like everything's kind of happening all at once, but I'll try.
Well, it's like we're not asking them to be patient with us because obviously they won't, but at the very least, we can be patient with ourselves and we can afford to. And then I feel like it's like tone suddenly shifts to now it's like, tell me again exactly how did this happen?
And I think that's a perfect way to cut it right there. Just
Yeah. What action is this?
honestly, I'm pretty sure this was once again confess. I feel like today is just a lot of confessing.
It's true.
I feel like the last episode left everyone with a lot to get off their chests.
Did Adele enjoy this?
Yes, they're probably going to be bugging Sarah about this. It's like sort of thing for a while. It's like if it's like time permits, it's like if after the next mission permits it, how dare it's like let them miss this milestone, so to speak.
Excellent. 2 dice.
5. Woo!
5. So that's 3 links for Adele to Sarah. All right, and I think that brings us to the end of the downtime phase. So next up will be the mission phase. David, when do you think Violet is going to reach out to Rose? Is that something we want to try to sneak in before the mission or put in somewhere else?
Before the mission, right? Doesn't that seem to make sense?
Yeah, no, that
Sure.
makes sense and all. And I think I want to see that, honestly.
Yeah. Does Violet reach out to Rose before Rose reaches out to Violet?
No. Unless, I mean, why would Rose be reaching out to Violet, though?
Oh, well, I mean, um, as the magical girls left Rose's tent, I think the camera saw Rose in the shadows of her tent watching them all escape. So I think the indication here is that Rose suspects a lot of things.
Okay. I'm just thinking about a place to set this.
Oh, sure. So I have a thought
What were you thinking?
that if Violet goes to find Rose, she finds the vanity opened up again, and Rose is within.
Within the mirror?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That sounds good. Um, so I can see her within the mirror, and does she see me or is her back turned?
I think so the vanity has opened itself up again into like this sort of portal entrance situation, and you can see the same path that Violet and Frida took down to the Baroness's courtyard in this, weird tangle of a garden. And you can see, like as you come in, you can see Rose walking down that path towards where, the events of last session occurred.
Mm-hmm. I think I yell out to her, and then obviously she can't hear me through the mirror, so I charge headlong inward. Am I able to make it through to the other side without any problem?
Yeah, I think so.
So then there's this kind of shot of me sort of like rushing down the stairway or down the hill or wherever this kind of incline opens up to where Rose is, and there I am, sort of running down, arms sort of at my side. And I'm, calling her name, and it's this all caps, jagged speech bubble. Um, and does that get her attention?
I think she stops um before she gets to the courtyard, and she doesn't turn to face you, I don't think. She kind of goes rigid, and I think she says, "Violet, you came. I didn't know when I would see you next."
What are you doing here?
I think she says, "What were you doing here? I I saw you leave. You came here. This place was my place. And now, why were you here, Violet?"
Rose, don't you get it? This isn't normal. Look around you. This is some kind of pocket dimension. It's not supposed to be like this. I'm here to save you.
Save me from what?
I I I don't know who or what is responsible for making this place, but they they're going to try to hurt you. They're going to try to hurt everyone.
I think she
This,
starts. Sorry, go ahead.
this isn't some kind of safe haven from the world. It's a trap, Rose.
I think she starts walking slowly forward again towards the courtyard. And she says, "But it's a very nice trap, Violet. It was nice being the one that everybody looked at for once, the one that everybody wanted to fight over. The Baroness, she wanted nothing more than for me to join her court. How nice was that? And the Masked Marquis, well, that's a thing of the past, I suppose." I think this trap, if that's what you want to call it, was a nice way to save me from all of what happens out there. Can you save me from both?
No, of course I can't save you from both, but I know you can.
I think that's an excellent opportunity for a role.
Okay.
It sounds to me like
Yeah,
you're really trying to break through to Rose, right?
um, yeah, I think so. I mean, it's gonna build up to a confess, although I don't know if we're quite there. Um,
think
So
it's
what do you think?
probably empathize, probably.
I was gonna say express or empathize. They both have the same number of dice in them, so
Okay.
um, it's just one, right?
Yeah, at the moment. Let me open up the action roll real quick. Let's go through the procedure. I think for right now, this is just risky standard. And
Okay.
it's breaking through, and I think maybe almost like a setup action for, like you said, the confess.
Okay. So we're gonna do one. Here we go. That's a fail.
Okay. So I think what this looks like is adjusting the position to desperate for the
Hmm.
next roll.
Okay.
Um, so I think she makes it down to the courtyard, and she kind of just is slowly circling it, looking at the the throne in the center, and occasionally her eyes like look up to Violet and then back to the throne. She says, "That's that's really sad to hear. I had hoped I had hoped you could be there for me on all fronts. It's nice being saved for once. But I suppose you already know that? I mean, I don't know for sure, but after last night, I know what they're up to. I've reached out. I can point you to where they're at. But I think you should show me your colors first, and maybe I'll show you mine."
I'll kind of start to take some steps sort of toward her. I've been trailing her for a while as she does her sort of walk about the courtyard, and I'm kind of making sort of a direct line toward her. Um, and I'll say, why do you have to rely on everyone else to protect you, on everyone else to save you? Where did that happen? That's not the Rose I grew up with. That's not you.
Mhm.
And I'll kind of sort of become a little bit closer to her and almost in like a kind of caring kind of way, just sort of ask, what happened to you?
I think, oh man. So I think the best way to like is that she starts talking and the camera like pans away and we go to like a flashback where we see that Rose and Violet playing as children. And then tell me if this is wrong, but this is the impression I get. Is like we see them at different stills throughout as they're growing up to this age, and we see more and more responsibilities being put on Violet, and becoming the torchbearer, training to be the torchbearer, training to be the shrine maiden, these sorts of things. And we see just kind of in the background, like waiting to play with her sister, is Rose.
Mm.
That work
So
for you?
go ahead.
Does that work for you?
That works for me, yeah.
Okay,
Were you
good.
gonna say anything else?
No, I think we can pan back to the moment, and maybe she says something like, "I've just been waiting for my sister to come back to me. She's been gone for so long."
I think there will be a kind of momentary pause where Violet's very stern exterior freezes for a moment, and then she just like runs to her sister and like grabs her in her arms and starts crying as she does her transformation right there holding her.
That's so amazing. Yes, yes. Let's do that roll. So it's a desperate position, but it's got to be like also great effect, I think. Um, I think the risk here is pretty clear, is like whether or not how Rose is going to respond to this and whether or not she's going to, embrace whatever is being offered her on either side.
See sorry, go ahead.
I was just
Oh,
wondering, is this something that Violet could technically push themselves for if they wanted to as well? I was kind of curious on that.
oh, for an extra die, yeah.
Because I was going to say that if this is a confess, the tricky thing is I don't have any points in that.
Oh.
Oh,
Well, maybe if is it a different if it, I mean is it a different role? I mean, just because you said confess earlier doesn't mean that's what it is now.
Um,
I think there's at least one, like if there's like a series of stills, or if we're doing lots of flashbacks here in this scene, I think there's at least one or two stills of the duck pond. Take an extra die.
There is also empathize, and so like that's the example. You might listen to someone's story and gain an understanding of their perspective.
yeah, I was gonna say you could swing it as an express. Maybe I mean empathize would get me in a second die roll there. I mean, empathize isn't necessarily wrong here if we're trying to feel her emotions as if they were my own. I'm looking at kind of the definition of the move here. I mean, I'm basically sobbing as the loneliness and neglect that she's been carrying around all this time is suddenly hitting me.
Yeah.
So I feel like empathize could be justifiable here. Would we call it a transformation and then do empathize for two dice?
Yeah, I think that's appropriate. Yeah.
And then I have the extra one that Frida spend.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that gets me to 3. Can I push myself 2?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Two steps.
two, right? Oh dear, I'm gonna be going into this mission super
Uh,
stressed.
I think you could also spend no, oh, the one link has already been spent. Okay, yeah, so you'd have to push yourself for that last die. Yeah.
Okay. Um, I'm willing to though. So I'm rolling 4 as far as I can see here.
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
here we go. Hello.
Critical.
our one and only critical all time. Oh my goodness.
We
Perfect.
got their team.
It's true. You do it with increased effect.
It was
Uh,
already a great effect, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it
but you
was.
can actually increase past a great effect.
To extreme.
Um, uh, so do you want to describe, or would you like me to describe?
Well, I mean, I think I described my part of it.
Okay.
I don't know how Rose reacts though.
I think you Violet rushes over and embraces Rose and begins to cry and transforms. And I think there's a moment where Rose is about to break, and then she starts crying too, and she hugs back. And the light of Violet's transformation bleeds over into Rose, and she transforms as well.
Awesome. Okay.
Um, I don't know. Is that the place where we just end that scene for now? Or she got I guess we can also just tell you what she figured out, if that's helpful at all.
Yeah, that'd be fine. I'm fine with just kind of saying that like out of character and not necessarily role playing it out. I think the message I want to convey at the end of the day is that I'm here for her. I have these powers. she clearly has powers too. We're on the same page. We're here for each other. I'm so sorry for the past. I'm never going to let this happen again. I love you. And we're just gonna go. We're reconciling right before the final mission.
Yeah, I also like what Will had to say about like I think in addition to the two of you transforming in the magical girl, expressive sense, I think the space too is cleansed and transformed and becomes, beautiful rather than dark and twisted.
Sweet.
Yeah, so I think what she has to say about what she's learned about what the enemy, the Abyss, is up to is that they have made plans to make a big step, like a big momentous move that they are in the process of finalizing. And so when the pageant makes its way to like town square, as it were, they were going to unleash or unravel their plan. And they have been staging a lot of this at, if you all remember, we have a series of drones that kind of stand in for, stars and comets and whatnot that the pageant follows. In the past, those were probably real stars and comets and whatnot, but because of the things that have happened, they became drones and just to uphold the traditions. And that those drones are stored and maintained and kept in like this floating base above the city. And so I think Rose says that that's as far as she's aware, that's where they're setting up, and that's where they've taken Marie.
Okay. Perfect. Everyone else on the team can assume I've relayed every part of that to them.
Um, is this a good moment for our last 5-minute break for the day? And then we'll jump back into planning mission and jumping into that. Okay, see you in 5. Okay, so I think we're back at the base, at the skybox, um, as we tend to do before jumping off onto a mission. What do we see?
I think one thing as a kind of a thought is like almost to like match the mood of like the feeling of like this we have like almost the thought of possibly the entire group expecting this to be like a really big confrontation and like a lot of things are on the line. I almost want to say like the skybox almost kind of the sky itself almost kind of reflects that uh kind of tension and all, and that little while also having that little bit of sparkling of like of the stars kind of giving that little bit of hope, but like the colors and hues of the skybox just kind of reflecting that kind of inner kind of tension that's going on in the group.
I think the purification chamber a is picking up on the stress and the tension of the situation. Um, there's a sort of balance in the purification chamber between the abyss energy from the shards of the mirror and the light of the stars, and I feel like there's a sort of a roiling, snarling expectation in that circle.
What's our mascot's name?
Lepus.
Could they be nervously like stress cleaning the place? Like they're bouncing around back and forth a lot, like with a dumb little feather duster, and they're just like nervously stress cleaning everything.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And Adele's probably just like sitting in the middle of the room as Lepus is like hopping all around them and everything, cleaning up, and just goes, it's like, Lepus, I understand you're anxious, but I don't think this is helping anybody calm down either.
And I like the thought of while that you're having that Sarah is literally just chasing out arms like wide, like trying to catch a lift. It's like, hey, calm down, calm down. It's just like ah.
I think Frida is working on a punching bag and just like sort of tries to sidestep that little bit of lupine chaos.
So let's see. I imagine it's like, so we're on the skybox. Violet has likely, it's like basically relayed everything that Rose has. It's like informed and everything to us. It's like, I imagine. So let's see. It's like if it's like what Rose has said, it's like if Rose, it's like if what Rose has it's like said is accurate, it's like they've already taken Murray.
I would say in a way with that statement, there's like the moment kind of like like there's like the slightest, very slight like pause in the chase after Lepus before just continuing like chasing after Lepus, but and all clearly very much trying to distract herself from her from all that was just said, trying very clearly has at this point in time dissociated from that part of the conversation, trying almost in a way to kind of level their mind a bit. But it is yeah.
Well, it's like it's like really is nothing. It's like all things considering, there really isn't much to discuss about this, is there? It's like we only have it's like one course of action, as far as I can see.
They have to know we're coming.
Of course they do.
And like I think at this point, like Sarah finally catches like Lepus and like kind of has them in like a closed hug to prevent them from like bouncing off like a feather duster further before kind of just turning around like and as they're doing so like the flopping of the ears kind of like whoosh over it, and looking at and like stopping looking at Violet almost in a very clear kind of expression on their face of like almost reaching out for just something that really kind of to kind of ease her mind in a way. It's like, did Rose mention maybe like if there's like if she knows of like an entranceway behind them or it, anything that maybe they're not watching for, a way where we might be able to get the upper hand possibly?
Did Rose mention anything like that?
I don't think so. I think Rose just knew as much as she said. Is like she knows they're up there, and that's where they've taken Marie, and that's where they're getting ready for, their final salvo when they can, finalize it. I think I think it's also clear that they haven't made as much progress as they have wanted, that things have progressed much more rapidly. Um, but they are like, diligently working to try to make up lost time.
We showed our hand in the Baroness's courtyard. We showed them the breadth of our capabilities as guardians. Do they fully know what we are capable of as agents of the pageant?
I mean, they have Oda, they have Regalia, they have they have well your father too, Albrecht, and I feel like in a way, yes, they do kind of know a bit about us, but do they really know the true us is the real question. I mean, every day we kind of put on the show of what is expected of us, but I don't know if they really know what we are capable of in a way when we are allowed to just do it in our way.
Are you, it's like, were you trying to, it's like, figure something out with that question? It's like, Frida.
I think Frida sort of is picking up what Frida is sort of nodding thoughtfully at what Sarah put down and says, of course they know what we're capable of when we're on the clock. We're under constant surveillance. But do they bother paying attention to us when the cameras are off? Is there anything we can use to surprise them?
All things considering, it's like, even though it's like, know who we are per se, it's like, I don't think it's like necessarily had much of a chance to, it's like, observe us. It's like, beyond, it's like, finding out that much.
Yeah, and I mean, we've already played our card of that, of Violet pretending to be Rose, so I don't think they'll fall for Violet kind of pretending to be Rose yet again. Do we have something? Maybe is there something we know that they yet do not know? Something of a card that we have that we are aware of, like for instance, like in our last one, they didn't realize the similarity. Well, especially the Baroness didn't realize the similarities between both Violet and Rose, which allowed Violet to get that upper hand. And I mean, for instance, like we know that, like for instance, they trust Rose right now, and that's why we have this information. So obviously they don't know all our cards because Rose was able to give us this much. I don't know if that's going to help jog some thoughts, but there's got to be something else we haven't shown or used yet.
The Baroness. Does the Baroness know anything?
And Sarah kind of just looks at Violet. I mean, you're the one who has the like the means of contact with the Baroness and such. Do you maybe know of anything that maybe the Baroness can help us with? I know that you were the last to be in like touch with them.
I do seem to recall some shouting coming out of her bedroom. It's like earlier when I was here in the skybox. Something about sushi. It's like I can't say I understand what that was about. Not that I was eavesdropping, just that. I presume there was something going on with the Baroness at the time. With that said, it's like they probably didn't expect it's like Violet to to redeem the Baroness as it's like she did. It's like and it's like Violet. It's like, do you imagine the Baroness knows anything? It's like that. It's like on our unfortunate adversaries. Actually, where is the Baroness now that I think about it?
In the prison, I think, or prism, or at least accessible through the prism. I don't know where she is.
Do you still have the prism?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can kind of reach out to the Baroness and maybe if asking them some questions might help. We also don't even know what the Baroness's part was to play in all this, and I'm assuming that they expected the Baroness to be a part of everything up to this end point. So maybe whatever the Baroness was supposed to be able to contribute, we may be able to take advantage of.
Okay. I can call her, but you guys have to do the talking.
Emotionally exhausted after everything you just went through, I take it. It's like, sorry, it's like I shouldn't be so, it's like rude, but I understand. It's like if you'll call, it's like on the Baroness for us, then.
Does that work for you, Danny, to pull the Baroness into the scene?
Yeah, absolutely. That's totally fine.
So I think there will be a very highly stylized, almost like I'm dramatically drawing a sword with a flourish, but I'm actually just like whipping out this like little handheld prism. And then there's this dramatic zoom in of just my eyes across the screen. And it's very intense, and you just hear me go sushi.
Yes.
Oh, was that what the shouting about sushi earlier was about?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, so we saw last time on screen this, young woman appear the last time the Baroness was called without all of the shadowy clothing style, whatever. So she appears again. I think kind of she's there before I think anybody realizes it. Like sushi completes, and then she's just kind of behind everybody, just waiting patiently, tapping her toe. She's like, "Yes, Yes.
It's like probably just like whips around at that, just like, oh, hello there.
Hello.
Okay, I do need to get this question out of the way before it bugs me too much. Why sushi?
It's an ancient word, incantation, lost, lost to old times. It's meant many things throughout time, and well, it was precious to me when I was young. And I
Thank
think I think the camera pans to like her as a young girl, and like there's this big like super adorable puppy dog, and she's like sushi.
It's like presumably you can't really see that flashback. Just it's like Adele just thank you for humoring that question. It's like
Sure.
before it's like I had it. It's like bothering me too much. Um,
I think she looks into Adele's eyes and then looks into each of your eyes, and then finally her eyes rest on Violet. She says, "Thank you for showing me what I could not see in the darkness for so long."
no, that was certainly it's like just about entirely it's like Violet's doing. It's like she was always the more merciful. It's like of the two of us back when it was simply it's like me and her. It's like hard cuts back to like the first mission when it's like Adele basically just like completely skewered. It's like the masked marquee, and then just it's like basically shot the prism, and then hard cuts back to present. Yeah. Um. Never mind that. It's like were you listening to the entire conversation up until he called you by any chance?
No, and she like waves her hand and moves it through her body, and her body like shimmers, and she says, "I'm only partly here even. I'm not present until I'm called, and this is just a projection. I've done as I've done as I've promised. I'm still there. This is difficult to maintain. They don't, as far as I'm aware, they don't know yet of what has become that my allegiance has changed."
It's like Adele sort of turns to it's like Frida. It's like and just it's like, did you have a particular idea in mind that you wanted to ask of the Baroness, considering you were the one that it's like thought of the possibility of possibly surprising them?
Hmm. I don't know. As a player, I don't have any clever ideas here. I'm just sort of riffing off the idea that I'm just sort of riffing off the idea that we need to tip the information flow in our favor. Like just showing up in strength is not going to be enough. Like this is the kind of surprise that this system handles very effectively with the flashback mechanics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but I think what Frida says to the Baroness is it's not clear to us how integrated your former your former compatriots are with the activities of the pageant. The pageant has us under constant surveillance. Many of many of the people who are operating behind the mirrors are close to us. We have to assume they know a lot. What don't they know?
I think she says, they don't know that you've turned me, that I'm still among their number, but not aligned with them. I imagine they suspect you're coming, but they don't know it yet. And I think that what they really don't know is what I see now so clearly, that you have within each of you the courage to change everything. Before we were acting as we've done in the past to drive you as hard as possible so that in a state of being so overwhelmed, you would embrace the abyss so that we could turn off all the lights. But I see now that that's different, and that you have the ability to shed light where light has not been for so long. So I think what she's trying to say there is that like she thinks that the abyss, the agents of the abyss that we've encountered so far, think you are all far weaker and far more subject to their ploys to toy with your emotions and drive you hard to the point where they think they're setting up a trap where you will feel so overwhelmed that this emptiness will be a welcome and you'll come into it with open arms, and that they think that that's what's going to happen rather than you all making your stand, if that makes sense.
And not to be selfish or anything, do you know well, do you know of how and she kind of bites her her lip a little bit, how they're treating Marie? Is she okay?
No.
Had a feeling.
About all I can offer right now is another way in. I'm sure you all can get there yourself. And I think she looks around to the skybox. But I can also provide a passage through a mirror.
As a player, the idea of embarking on this from the Baroness's court through one of the mirrors is kind of cool. Since we kind of took over that space, like it's still abyss flavored, but it was Baroness flavored too.
Yeah, no, I like that idea too. And it's also that thing of like showing even more of like, I like the thought of like, because of Violet's actions, we have this unique everything in our little hand.
I think she says, travel through the dark mirrors is not an easy thing unless they've already been opened. To open one, someone's going to have to give up something of themselves.
By giving up something of oneself, what do you mean by that exactly?
I think I think what she explains is you'll have to like temporarily like give up some kind of emotion. You'll have to feel some kind of loss, some kind of negativity, so that the mirror can feed on that and activate.
Because I really want to help Marie. I'll be the one to give things something up for this. I really want to get there as soon as possible.
All right. If that works for everybody, we just smash cut to the Baroness's court.
Is it a requirement for each of us or just one person?
Just it needs to be opened once.
Okay.
I feel like I would protest out of a like attempt to protect you, but I can be easily talked out of it, and we don't need to role play it out necessarily. I just think it's important to insert that. I would try to persuade you otherwise, but then I would probably, out of respect for your own autonomy, allow you to.
Well, yeah, it makes sense with our promise and everything with the martyrdom promise and all that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I would say definitely it's out of the sheer thing of and all would be that thing of like Sarah kind of in a kind of very selfishly kind of pleading and mentioning that this is partially their selfish wish to kind of because of how they're like how much this matters to them right now, getting to Marie and everything, that she kind of bears that burden.
So in the Baroness's court, there were a whole series of mirrors kind of arrayed out in front of the Baroness's throne. There was the one that led to the mansion court, and then there were a bunch of others that kind of got smashed and put back together magically during the skerfuffle from last time. So I think we probably just cut straight to Sarah standing in front of one of them. And the Baroness, like as gently as she can, says, this one will take you there, but it will hurt.
Adele just kind of taken on to like, it's like, I can always, it's like pay the price. It's like I do have, it's like somebody important of my own that I can't afford to lose too,
And Sarah kind of just taking a deep breath and everything and kind of relaxing. It's like, no, I know. And we all have something in this. But right now, since I can't really go into my magical girl form, and I don't know if I will in this moment that we're about to embark, at least I want to have you guys at your best, so that way we give ourselves the best chance at succeeding in what we're hoping to do.
Adele just kind of respectfully is like bows out. It's like, in that case, it's like kind of just turns to the Baroness. Shall we carry on then?
So I think the mirror begins to activate, and Sarah can feel this like metaphysical pulling, like it's hungry. What emotion is Sarah going to feed it?
And I'm assuming it has to be a pretty strong emotion here.
I think so.
So I think, given kind of in a Sarah kind of fashion and everything, she's going to feed it her strongest of her emotions, which is her love and devotion to those of her friends and those who matter most to her. Knowing that is going to be also the most painful to her, having that yoinked out of her.
All right, so I think how I'd like to model this mechanically is it'll just be a condition that you can resist. So I think it's a level 3 harm that is, how did you phrase it again? Love and what was the other, friendship?
Love and friendship, yes.
Okay, so I think it's level 3 harm, no more love and friendship.
Okay.
And you can resist that if you would like to knock it down to a level 1
Yeah,
harm.
I will definitely at least put my best foot forward against this thing. Let's see here. And I don't think there's any, none of my special abilities are going to help me on this, so it's
Sounds like Moon?
I would say, yeah, Moon probably it probably is the best one that fits that. Let's see here. Yeah, resist consequences from despair and heartbreak. Yep.
Okay.
So
That would actually be 3 then.
Oh well, going into this a lot better than I thought. All right, and
nice. One stress. And then a level 1 harm Feel free to phrase that however you like, knocked down from the intensity of what it was at level 3.
Disorientated, probably.
That's a good one, yeah.
Or I could see also just almost in a way kind of playing off of my playbook also is with the level 1 kind of thing is that sense of letting of once again burning and holding back my friends.
So feelings of guilt.
Yeah, feelings of guilt. Yeah, I like that.
Okay. The mirror activates. Let's make an engagement roll. When you start a mission, assemble a dice pool and make an engagement roll, and then cut to the action. Start with 1d for every mission, and +1 for each of these. Is the mission particularly heroic or noble?
I would say at this point, this is probably our most heroic moment of the series.
Does this mission follow up on your investigation?
I would say,
I think it's fair to say it follows up on Violet's investigation from earlier. Does this mission determine the fate of a friend?
Yikes.
I feel like, yeah, on a lot of levels here.
All right, so -1 for each. Does the mission reflect your worst parts? Is self-sacrifice the worst part?
I mean, in a way, with what's with like the choice of like how we're doing things with the mirror and such, I feel like that is probably one of the few times where you could argue that, yeah, this is kind of showing a little bit of the worst parts.
Yeah, and their intent is to make it so that we are broken to the point of embracing the abyss. So I can see that it's like coming to reflect it's like potentially it's like our worst parts.
Okay.
I feel like Frida's on edge from Sarah basically burning herself up as fuel for this.
Yeah.
Are you acting rashly on little information? I feel like this is maybe the first time we actually got all the information, right?
Yeah, we have a lot of information, sure. And I don't think we need to count our rash action of how we're doing the mirror here, because I feel like that applies to the first one. Otherwise, if it didn't apply to the first one, it would definitely apply here with the acting rashly part.
Are mundane troubles getting in the way?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I think that would be almost like something that would apply, like if even any of us were like held up from being able to join the mission because of obligations. I never really understood that one.
Yeah, no, it's like in before like somebody somehow comes in, it's like, Adele, we have another situation. It's like, oh god damn it.
All right, so I think I counted 3 dice because we were definitely above. We're maxed out on investigations. There's no -1 die from there. Who would like to make a 3 die roll?
You know, just because of Violet's amazing roll earlier, I feel like we should just put our hopes and everything in David's roll.
I've expended all the luck, is the way I interpret that. I don't know.
Well, I can already say, given my rules throughout the series, don't put that on me. I can say that much.
Oh, but Sarah, you're the one opening the mirror.
Yeah, I was about to say you're the one that just like got yourself level 1 harm to open the it's like to open the portal and everything.
Well, if you guys want to take that risky move there, I'll roll. So it's 3 dice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, Godspeed to us here. Oh, hey.
Hey, there we go.
All right. A good result. A controlled position. You're setting the tempo. So the mirror opens and you step through and you can hear the wind whipping outside. You're in a large circular space that's many stories tall within this like floating fortress, this floating engineer vessel base. And arrayed in here, in this big open circular space, are just thousands and thousands of mirrors. Just looking around, it becomes very clear that they're being fixed to the drones. And you can see from your vantage point high up here near the top of this space, probably on some kind of catwalk or something, down at the bottom, you can see Regalia and you can see Albrecht and you can see in some kind of strange arcane device prison. I think there's like you can see like the flickering of barely visible energy encased around and containing Marie. She's at the center, and there's like all kinds of tubes and whatnot being fed away from this device, hooked up to this array of mirrors and drones. And we're up here pretty high, so it's hard exactly to tell what's going on specifically, like immediately, but you can see that they're busy going about whatever it is they're doing.
So let's see, we're up above where this is like happening. It's like where all this is happening. Okay.
How up above are we? Would you say kind of?
I think to do this space justice, it's got to be like at least 10 stories tall. Just this massive space up here.
Oh wow, we're pretty. And to, out of curiosity, because how high up we are and everything, does it look like there's like this has like a staircase or something that's going down, or like, or how's this like looking from our vantage point of like how everything's connected, I guess?
Yeah. So I think, like, again, it's this massive circular space. And I think there's like catwalks and like metal railing and stairs and ladders that lead all up and down the sides. And like fixed into the sides are where the drones like are stored and where the automated systems do operations and repairs to them. So you can see like all along the outside, the drones, and then like this inner scaffolding of the catwalks and whatnot, and then kind of an empty space in the middle where you can see down. And again, you can see like just thousands of mirrors being fixed onto the drones.
Is it possible for me to gather some information from here?
Yeah, I think so. What is it?
Okay.
What is it we see Sarah doing?
So let me just make sure I have my thing here. So I would say, for starters, like the kind of question they're kind of looking to kind of get answered here is, what is most dangerous here? What kind of sticks out as basically our more dire thing to deal with?
Okay, so yeah, so let's make a roll. What does it look like when the camera comes to Sarah, what is Sarah doing to try to gather this information?
Yeah, I would say the way it kind of is for starters, that like they're about to like do their running headlong in because they see Marie and everything, stop themselves and everything, just catching themselves at that moment, kind of like I'm assuming there's kind of almost like some bit of railing or something up here that's, and kind of grabs hold of it, catching themselves, and then starts looking all about, just trying to see, is there anything, like, especially I was about to go headlong in. If I had done that, if we go in here just as is, will this set off anything? Like, does it? And like, even looking at what these what's kind of connected to Marie's and all down there, and wondering if that may be actually something more of a concern than even the three down there. So she's just looking, trying to see what is the biggest concern visibly.
So it sounds like perceive based on your description to me.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely a perceive on this one.
Okay. this is you all based on your engagement roll. So this is controlled position. And I think this would normally be standard effect, but because right now, especially so fresh, your feelings of guilt and seeing Marie in distress, even from this distance, I think we'll apply that. So we're looking at controlled position and limited effect.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense here. And I just have one die. But let's see here, just because it is kind of something that they're very concerned about, I will push myself for an extra die on this roll.
You could also push yourself to, it's like for a better effect instead if you prefer.
Ooh, you got a point there. Actually, yeah, I kind of like that more. It's a little bit more risky, but I rather try to go for a greater effect possibly with that. So yeah, I'll use the push myself for the effect actually.
Okay, so it goes to controlled position and standard effect.
Okay, and let's see here, and one die. All right. Don't fail me now. I rolled 2 bad ones here.
Oh,
Oh, I knew it.
it is controlled. So on a 1 through 3, you falter. You have a choice. You can press on by seizing a risky opportunity, or withdraw and try a different approach.
Just because at the moment, enough of the talks from the 3 of them prior, she, against all things that are right now going on in her mind, she withdraws from this and accepts that at the moment they have the upper hand and she should not push it at the moment. We'll see if anything pulls at her heartstrings and changes that mind, but we'll see.
I think you still, it's like, this was a gather information roll, right? So
Yep.
I think like you would still get a question with a roll of 1.
I think that sounds fair. Good call. It sounded like the question that you chose was what is most dangerous here?
Yeah, or at least that from where we are currently at.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'm just going to lean into the common definition of dangerous. So I think as you look down before you quickly withdraw, you catch for a moment, even from this distance, like Albrecht circling impatiently, looking at the mirrors, and he like waves his hand, and then you just see a, like a reflection of shadow, almost like light should be reflecting from the mirrors as he waves his hand across, but instead it's shadow. It's like as if he's checking on them in their current stasis or something like that. And like there's this feeling in the air, this weight as Albrecht does this. Like right now, Albrecht is the most dangerous thing in the room.
Not too surprising after a certain poison promise. Unfortunately.
We are at 15 till. Is this a good place to stop for now and pick up next time?
I feel like,
Or, good.
yeah, no, I was gonna say, like, I feel like this is a good, like, kind of tension to leave us off on. What does everybody else think?
That works for me.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So Series XP, first of all, redemption. We're just gonna mark 1 right away for that because I feel like that definitely applies to Violet and Rose. Also, this was particularly noble and heroic. So if you all didn't do it yet, clear 1 stress because we did make an engagement roll.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, right, because I forgot about that.
Okay. I don't think we've successfully carried out a mission from the series list. We're in the process of one. Did you confront, as a group, did you confront the world's oppression and comfort those who suffer?
I feel like we are definitely on the part of confronting things. And once again, back to Violet, confronting, obviously, quite a bit of things with for Rose and all, and the world about it.
Yeah, we definitely, that's worth 2 at least with Rose,
Mhm.
for sure. Again, so we have one ability we need to choose. Explore the nature of the darkness and redeem those who have fallen.
The conversation with the Baroness and the the conversation with
Yeah.
with Violet and
Well,
Rose, yes.
Yeah, like one there was the redemption from Rose's like kind of momentary faltering towards it, add into the fact that once again we reaffirmed our redemption of the Baroness and our kind of shared struggle.
Yeah, I think definitely at least one for Rose, and I think we definitely, like you all had said, talking to the Baroness and learning more about the darkness, we definitely learned more about, the nature of the abyss and whatnot. So I think that's worth 2. And do we express the essential nature, origin, or destiny of the group?
I feel like this is actually one of the few times where we are kind of expressly kind of saying that we are going to be that path forward. We are actively in kind of throughout all of our conversations, and our intent here is to break out of this cycle of what is currently holding this world down.
We think that's worth 1 or 2.
I'll leave that up to you guys on that one. I have no idea.
I feel like we're doing an awful lot of putting spokes in. Like we're not revolutionaries. We're not trying to dismantle the pageant, but I feel like we're trying to create space in it for people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was that moment where it's like where Frida was basically like with her dancers trying to like create that space and everything. It's like for them, especially after everything that happened with the first mission.
I like that. So that sounds definitely like we're not only are we doing the magical girl thing and fighting against the abyss, but we're also trying to help people, like 1-to-1. So I feel like that's worth 2 for sure. Those 2 things together. Does anybody have an ability, a group transcendent or series ability that comes to mind we can grab?
If this was before our last mission, I would be like, oh, I really loved that Never Alone back then. I don't know if that's going to be necessary now, but that was like the one that was like, oh, I wish we had. But I feel like this is given what we're about to go into. I don't know if this one's as useful, but it does also the Never Alone does feel like kind of how our group is feeling too, though.
I mean, I'm partial to it simply because Adele's kind of an idiot and likes to separate from everyone.
I think Never Alone would definitely have helped us in the last mission.
Oh yeah.
Like you can spend links. Or we have been spending links regardless of the distance separating, but being able to like actually assist people and do group actions is.
Yeah, that is. I feel like of all things, like as we're entering in here, it's on like the biggest kind of like climax of our story. I feel like it's gonna be that big thing of like us all jumping in and trying to protect and do things for each other throughout this. I feel like so. If anything, this would be probably like a big opportunity for our characters to actually capitalize on, like really putting that front together.
Otherwise, I think like the only real alternative at this like point in the campaign is like by Starlight.
Oh yeah, by Starlight. I forgot about that one. Yeah.
It's okay if you need to. It's like if you need to guarantee making use of Never Alone, Adele's probably gonna be an idiot and split off because, like, considering we didn't see Oda in that scene anyway.
Oh my gosh.
I have a suspicion we're gonna see Oda dynamically.
I didn't even like register like mentally. Wait, Oda's not there. You're right. I didn't. Suspicious omission.
Okay. It sounds like we're all okay. We're all at least okay with Never Alone from the sounds of it.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts, David?
No, that sounds fine to me.
Okay. Cool. All right. Who would like to run over their playbook XP first?
I can go ahead and go first. Let's see. You addressed a challenge with understanding or coordination. I think understanding came into play quite a bit here. At least in understanding more of themselves, probably. Let's see. Let's see.
And you
Okay.
also took the time to like understand like everybody you're having conversations with. There's a lot of understanding, I feel like, at this point.
Yeah, especially after hearing they completely missed their friend's newfound transcendence, Sarah. You expressed your beliefs, drives, role, or background. I think I tend to be pretty consistent with that with Adele. It's like, fortunately. You struggled with issues from your promises or obligation. I think so, considering there was that talk with Violet. And then I think I did add in that little bit where they had to go back and address it's like the work that they kind of left behind. It's like for a moment in the last session. And then you embodied your eclipse or displayed the contents of your heart. Yeah.
Did you get 2 for struggled with issues from your promises or obligation, or did you want to grab 1?
I think I'm giving myself 2, and then it spilled over, so I have to figure out what to spend my XP on now.
Okay, good. I was like, you gotta at least 2 because we got to see Adele with both Violet and with Frida, and I felt like that was significant being vulnerable with Frida.
And now Frida will probably never let them live it down.
You gave them an inch, and now Frida's going to go a mile with that.
Oh boy. Just getting my coup counting ready.
Who would like to go next?
I think I can.
Okay.
I had a real quick question. That final roll that I made with Rose, was that desperate? Because it says that when you make a desperate roll, you automatically mark an XP.
Yep. And
Yes.
I was going to mention that to you, where you should give yourself an EXP for, I think you put it in Sun, right?
Yes, empathize. I just plugged it in. So okay.
Yeah.
Addressing a challenge with kindness or self-sacrifice, I'll say 1 for Rose and the interaction there. Expressing beliefs, drives, role, or background, I'll do 2, probably 1 for Rose, 1 also for just discussing my role of protecting her with Frida. Just that, because I feel like that's kind of a guardian sort of thing, I think. If that works for people. Other than that, struggling with issues from your promises or obligation. I kind of I'm thinking do 1 for that one. I mentioned that one bit with Sayra just kind of off screen about how I was trying to convince Sayra not to be the self-sacrificial one, which is kind of a promise that I was trying to pull in there. So I'll do 1 for that.
Honestly, I feel like when it came to promises and obligations as a whole, and well, especially with also like the combination of like your obligation to your sister, like there's a lot of things where I feel like this session you kind of hit the mark on like promise and obligation like a lot with Violet.
Okay. I mean, I can take 2 for it, and then displaying contents of your heart. I mean, that's got to come in at least twice. So I think I'm good on my end. I'm really at 9 on my chart, but I'm just gonna spend 5 of them to just finish off Sun, I think.
Awesome. Okay. Will, do you want to go next?
Sure. You address the challenge with individual action or aggression. I would say 0 or 1, depending on whether you count getting goaded into power walking with Adele. I feel like this was a scenario. This was a session where Frida was mostly reactive. But I'll take 1 for being blunt in a number of situations. You expressed your beliefs, drives, role, or background. I think being a sounding board and getting an opportunity to stretch dice and express for most of the session counts as 2. You struggled with issues from your promises or obligation. I wouldn't say that I struggled is a strong word, but between the work that she's doing with the dancers and trying to thread the needle with giving Adele space, but also trying to keep Adele grounded, I will take 1. And you embodied your eclipse or displayed the contents of your heart. Ah, I think I will take 1 for that because I think I was keeping back more than I was keeping back more than I was sharing. So I will take 5 points, and maybe I will get a surprise bump in sun next session.
Awesome. Clarice.
Oh, yeah. You addressed a challenge with compassion or honesty. There was a lot of expressing honesty and compassion to with like a lot of the kind of tougher conversations that they had with everybody. So I'd say that's probably at least 1 or 2 there. You expressed your beliefs, drives, role, or background. That's just a constant every time. My character is constantly expressing their drives and beliefs, and in this case, also a bit of their background too, with their kind of like talk with Adele and all, and I feel like there was I touched a lot on those. You struggle with issues from your promises or your obligation. I don't think I really struggled with anything promise-wise. Yeah, nothing promise-wise. Obligation, I don't know if I really struggled obligation-wise either. Yeah, no, I don't think so. Let's see here. You embodied the eclipse or displayed the contents of your heart. Definitely displayed plenty of contents of my heart and all with the talks.
I think the fact that you tried to burn your love for your friends and connections as a
Oh.
self-sacrificial gesture counts as embodying your eclipse, honestly.
Oh my God, you're so right on that one. I didn't even think about that. Oh. Sweet. Now I got what I wanted ultimately, which was I can now have a proper mishmash of everybody's in my magical girl form. Woo.
Oh, nice.
Oh, very cool. And who's your the focus of this one's mind?
Oh, that I think we had discussed about like how with like the promise and a bunch of other things was that I had with Violet. That was kind of in a way like a rivalry of like protecting and such.
There's a nice pairing there because you're connected to Violet and I'm connected to Adele.
I love it.
Trying to optimize. I see how this goes. Just kidding. No, I think that's great. All right, Stars and Wishes. I really loved how Sarah stepped up to sacrifice the stuff that matters to go save the stuff that matters. I thought that was really cool. I liked, oh my God, so funny. Adele not knowing about Sarah changing into Polaris. That was great. That was so funny. Um, I really liked Frida bringing Ian into the skybox, and we got to see how Ian like became part of the group uh through his like expression and his emotions like through art. I thought that was really great and a callback to things that we had in previous sessions. And then I really of course all of the like manga comic book stuff David was hilarious as always. And there's the scene with the reflections was really cool idea. But I really liked the scene with Violet and Rose. Like that was super great. I really enjoyed that. My wish for next time is to see the magical girls face their destiny with whatever that's going to look like, at least so far in this season.
But yeah.
Will, you're muted. Or...
Yeah, sorry. Apparently it's like Zoom muted me at some point. Yeah, it's like I can go next. Basically, stars, it's like including the things that Danny listed. I also enjoyed basically like the sass that Frida is like of course had to reciprocate. It's like Adele during their little heart to heart. It's like enjoying all it's like little make a connection scenes and everything. It's like between everybody. It's like it's like really enjoyed. It's like as Danny mentioned, basically like the scene between Violet and Rose and everything. It's like and it's like yeah, the scene with Ian, it's like helping us finish out it's like new hideout room. It's like and everything. Let's see. It's like and then wishes. It's like I'm going to be audacious basically and saying like I do wish we had like more sessions of this or like maybe a future season 3 or something because it's like I've just been really enjoying like it's like everybody, they're magical girls, the cast and everything, and it's like the story. It's like stars too. It's like Danny especially for like threading everything together. It's like this plot. It's like that. It's like we are tragically, it's like finishing up next session. But yeah.
I'll go next. First of all, stars to just the whole of today's everything. I felt like this was the big emotional almost payout to everything that's kind of happened up to this point. Everybody's characters having grown from everything here. I really loved just seeing everybody's characters kind of grow into what is this much more cohesively like beautiful story through the dramas and everything that we've kind of all faced at this point. Loved everything that with Violet today, especially. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time with the Rose situation and screaming a lot. uh, uh, Absolutely adore all of the conversations with Frida and the kind of insight and the uniquer kind of insight from Frida's perspective that she always seems to have is somehow adds differently than like one would expect in some of these conversations. It's kind of I love that, especially when it comes to the rival side of things. They always have a unique back and forth, and just so many stars in general, not just for this one, but just throughout the entire thing with Danny's just bringing things together, making this world get me really invested. I've never felt so invested in like a story and what it's all coming to be. Wishes, I mean, just I have like there's I looking just the looking forward to what's going to happen here. I am so terrified of what's on the table, especially now that people have just reminded me that Oda is not there. We have Marie down there. There's just a lot of wishes of what kind of fun drama we're about to get into.
I guess for me, sort of everything everyone else said so far, I think this might be my favorite session so far. And there wasn't even really a mission in it, which is crazy. Which really goes to show, I think, how far we've come with really nailing the downtime moves. But I mean, as far as specific stars are concerned, I really enjoyed my scenes with Will and with Fumi. Fumi in particular, I noticed you did something kind of cool throughout the game where you would ask these sort of pointed questions like how do you feel right now or something along those lines, which kind of required the player to like get into character and like start emoting a little bit. Um, so I just appreciated you just kind of prompting that in the scenes you were in. Clarice, you play your character very, very well. The reluctant, sort of self-sacrificial, wants to be a savior but doesn't think they can be sort of vibe is really, really, really well played. And Danny, you're doing wonderfully as usual. I'm just really, really pleased with how this session went. As far as wishes go, this isn't something I'll be able to do next session, but just whenever I play this game again, um, I would be curious to see how creative the game allows you to be with what's happening during downtime roles, in particular, making a connection with others. For the first several sessions, I think we were doing a lot of when you make a connection with someone, you basically have a conversation with them and you're just kind of in a room, maybe sharing an activity on the side, but really it's a conversation. And I just wonder within this genre if you could get a little bit more almost superheroic with it. Like we're making a connection while we uh, take down a bank robbery. And we're narrating like beating up these guys as we like make these quippy like white like one-liners back and forth and we're just doing the magical girl thing and it's still forming a connection, but it's also got that kind of action punch to it. I just wonder if you could do that in this game. So that's just something I'm thinking about as we talk. So that's me.
Well, and like to add into that, the thought of like, for instance, like with what you're saying and all, like that, like I was thinking like, oh, like for instance, uh, with the rival kind of tidbit that you have with like anybody who's playing the outsider, you like the rival and the outsider going and like being like, I took down more of the abyss or something like than you, and like having that kind of like competitiveness, sort of like a the thought of like a kind of Gimli and Legolas in like Lord of the Rings in a way, stuff like
Right.
that. Like I love that idea. Like that, I didn't even think about that.
That still only counts as one, etc. I would say I feel like many of the things I would highlight people have already done so. I would just add a voice to saying that the scene between Violet and Rose was riveting. Like my heart was in my throat that whole time. In terms of stakes and emotions in display. Um, Especially on that, David, I loved the shift in you as Violet realized that she had left Rose behind. Like the shifting from you can stand on your own, I know you can handle this stuff to realizing that there was an emotional vacuum that had formed. Um, I thought that was very powerful. I also really loved our pond, our duck pond scene together. Um, Fumi, I still can't tell when you're talking about things that nobles do, and how nobles behave and how nobles will skate through, whether you're being ironic or unironic, and that sort of dance is tantalizing me. And I also really enjoyed the vulnerability that Fumi displayed because I think I really fucked up that last mission, threw both Frida and me for a loop for a moment. And and Clarice, the scene with you and the scene with you and with Sarah and Adele, where Sarah was like, "But I'm a magical girl now. I can do anything, right? Why can't I do anything?" The sort of, you know, this button doesn't solve all my problems, and just that scene of processing your new facets or that part of your abilities was very cool to watch happen. That's a side of the character that I was delighted to see come forward. Wishes, I'd like to see something big, dramatic, bold, and triumphant, or we'll see how things go. I'm hoping that someone either makes an eclipse roll next session, or if that mechanically doesn't become feasible, dips into the facets of their personality that the eclipse would embody.
I mean, last mission, it's like I could have, but
I don't know what you're talking about. I totally did not stop you from eclipsing. No, not at all.
Yeah, like this is kind of. I hope we get pushed up. I hope we get pushed enough that somebody has to make an eclipse roll. But also, I'd like to see us get pushed enough that somebody starts doing eclipse tendency stuff.
Oh yeah, well, and one thing, like going back to session 0 when we were kind of setting up things for the series, I still love the thought that at some point or another, seeing one of our magical girls eclipse and how it changes the magical girl transcendence and the look of it all. Because the thought of like when we eclipse, just because we're already transcended does not mean that the outfit can't just change and everything like that to match. So I really do look forward to probably getting ourselves pushed into a corner here. Looking forward to it.
I think I'm going to be a little bit cheeky and say we could have, but last mission.
Yeah, mechanically, we are strongly stacked to keep people from going eclipse. But I hear what you're saying.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to next session. Can't come soon enough. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
See y'all, and
Take good care, everyone.
Looking forward to Friday.
Yay.
Good night.
Good one, folks.
Good night, everybody.